Welcome to TC and the Wolf, a brand new podcast featuring the Reverend Tom Chandler, a talented but slightly disgruntled music producer, and Nick Wolf, a singer, songwriter, and technology wizard. Important note, everything we say here is a joke and only for entertainment purposes. Do not take this seriously. The opinions expressed do not represent the views of anyone else or any companies we may be affiliated with. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and share. And as always, drink responsibly and make sure to tip your waiters.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TC and the Wolf episode motherfucking 8. It's going to be crazy, man.
Can you believe it?
We've made it to where most podcasts die. 8 episodes in, and we're going to keep going because you know what? We don't care and we live close to each other, so fuck you.
And we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah. And as we get more of our friends on here, it'll be interesting and educational and the whole 9 yards. I had people tell me recently that they like the fact that we did some gear talk when Bernie was here about the SSL and about the Neve and about all that stuff, and they wanted to know some amp opinions. One of these
guitar
days.
amps?
Yeah, that we get into guitar amps and the differences and things like that. So we could make that topic today or maybe some other day. But I mean, it's just interesting because I think we're both pretty much straight in the Marshall camp as far as, amp guys go.
I have a major love for Marshall for sure. Mm-hmm. And then also Mesa Boogie.
Yeah, and those are two very different sounds. I don't think people realize that they think that the 5150s are based upon, Mesas, but they're actually not. They're based upon Marshalls with a separate overdrive circuit in front of them. Did you understand that?
Well, I know all about this stuff.
Oh, okay. I know. But people are interested in guitar amps, so maybe one day we'll have Frankie on or something, get into that.
Let's have a whole amp episode. I think that would be dope.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
You can go really deep on that stuff.
The ampisode. We'll call it.
Ampisode.
There we go.
You're firing on all cylinders
there we
today.
Go, because my brain is on. We're here. It's 2026. We're here to party and talk about some shit. What are we talking about today?
Well, Tom, I have a confession to make.
What's that, Nicholas?
I've been cheating on TC and the Wolf with another podcast.
What's this podcast called? What's this piece of shit called?
It's called Can I Be Honest With You? And
Okay.
It features my good friend Miguel Perez, who is a pretty well-known seasoned actor, actually. So the intent is not to really talk so much about music, which is clearly our shit, right? But truth be told, I spawned the Can I Be Honest With You podcast first with Miguel. We were planning a date to shoot the inaugural episode. He got called away to New York City on a big time production in the theater in fucking Broadway.
Oh, I see. So
and I had the time kind of scheduled, and then you and I were having talks about some other things. Mm-hmm. Plus, I'm pretty sure you and I have had this discussion in the past about we could do a good podcast because we have really good discussions.
We do. We were over here working just in the studio, just on Nick's music, and we get into it for 45 minutes and lose track of time and stuff like that. We're like, why are we not recording this? Because
exactly,
it's probably interesting for someone. I mean,
not only do we have the equipment, but we have the ideas, we have the willpower, we have the know-how. We got it all, baby.
We have the technology to make this happen.
But anyways, I was over here. Mm-hmm. We were talking about elite recordings, future strategy, opportunities coming up. We were kicking around a lot of great ideas. We finished that whole thing, which was quite a roller coaster, by the way.
An emotional roller coaster.
And then you were like, well, what do you want to do now? And I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I've been really wanting to do a podcast, but my buddy Miguel had to reschedule. You want to fucking try a podcast? And you, being the go-getter that you are, were like, fuck it, let's try it.
Yeah, and we hooked it up and we named it immediately, the whole 9 yards.
You came up with the name. I'll give you credit for that.
I was just like, TC and the Wolf, great, let's go.
Yeah.
It works.
You were like, what do you think about this? And I was just like, no notes, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. And then we did the first episode literally that day.
Uh-huh.
We put it up, and thankfully, all you kind folks at home gave us enough positive feedback and nudge to keep going after episode 1.
Yep, we just got to make it to 10 to be in the upper echelon of podcasts, to be able to be purchased.
The upper echelon, the top 1% of all podcasts.
Be in the 1%, dude, the 0.01% of podcasts.
You know what I was thinking? Do podcasts have seasons? I don't know. Do they? Is that a thing?
It's usually by year or by episode number. You know
well,
what I mean?
was thinking it would be cool because, we have this goal to get to 10, which is a good goal. I think we're going to hit it because we're in 8 now, right? And
if we don't hit it, we suck a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do not let us fail. Hold us accountable. But I was kind of thinking it might be cool to hit 10 and then call that like season 1, like the inaugural season.
Okay.
And then at that point, we can spice it up with some other things. Like maybe we get the new table we've been lusting after. Yes. You know what I mean?
We get another camera.
Another iPhone at the very least. Mm-hmm. By the way, did you guys know at home, Tom's not an iPhone user. What do you have, a Droid or some shit?
I have an Android, yes, because when I had some drama in my life,
shots fired.
I was in a witness protection type situation where privacy was an issue, and the government issued me a phone which I could only have certain apps on that were pre-approved. So I've been on that phone for about 2.5, 3 years now because of my poor life decisions. And yeah, I've just been
doing time
and not been able, really, I don't receive shipments to my house. I don't receive mail here. There was a lot of issues. So needless to say what it is for me, it was a privacy concern. That was the only way I could keep it completely private and have the government supervise it and be able to keep track of everything.
Is this story approved for podcast?
It's not approved for podcast yet because
so good, guys.
It's a good story, but it's a long time coming, and we'll get into that at some other
what's
day.
the statute of limitations on this son of a bitch?
I just want to make sure that this person's really in jail.
Okay. So if we get the green light on that.
If we get the green light on that, and we're not going to hear from them in 20 years, we'll figure it out at that point.
We should be able to figure that out with an online search, right? You can go search a database.
The case is currently pending, and I've had information on it, so we'll see how it all turns out.
So you know for a fact they're not in jail.
No, it seems like that they are because they missed court a bunch of times, and there's a bunch of outstanding warrants.
But wouldn't the other court know? Hey, that person's in jail?
I don't know. Like I said, it's Orange County, so it's even harder to check on.
That's a quick tangent. If court 1 is trying to prosecute someone and court 2 put the person in jail, and then court 1 does a follow-up appointment, follow-up arraignment, or whatever it is, and they don't know this person's in jail, that is a major failing of our legal system. And it's probably one of the reasons why it's all backed up.
Probably. I mean, just the different...
So incompetent.
I was watching this show last night. It was a true crime thing where something had happened in both Riverside and San Bernardino counties, which were related to a murder, right?
And the counties weren't talking to each other?
And the counties weren't talking to each other, and there was a bunch of bullshit.
I hate when
they were on 2 independent detective quests that they weren't talking to each other the whole fucking 9 yards. And it's crazy. Stuff like that does happen because it's red tape, man. It's some people get it, especially in California, though. It's even worse.
Well, we'll stash that for a future episode when that individual
goes to jail.
Is in jail. We prove that they're in jail or something. We find you're in the clear. I think that will be our best.
But that's the reason why I have a piece of shit phone. But it looks like now with how things are going, I'll be able to get an iPhone. We'll be able to do the 3 angles where you have one, I have one. And as
Little Tommy's graduating to the iPhone.
My bills are back in my name. It's
and
amazing.
You pair that up with your newfound social media stardom.
Oh, I'm killing it. The OnlyFans last week blew up.
You're like practically Jeffree Star up in this shit.
I sold pictures of my butthole all week, dude. It was great.
Christ.
No one bought it but firemen from West Hollywood. It was awesome.
Well, coming back to the I'm Cheating on You with the other podcast.
Back to Miguel.
Again, I did start it first. For the folks at home who might think I'm doing Tom dirty, I'm not. And I have been on the up and up, totally honest and clean about this whole thing.
Clearly.
And we're sharing equipment across podcasts, creating economies of scale. That's important. But on the other side of the fence, we do have some baller camera situations going on, which I want to bring into this forum because the only thing I feel that we are lacking really is the tight ass 3 camera setup.
Yep.
So we can get all the angles, like one on you, one on me, one on the wide, right? And 2, this table did work out really well. And this blanket we got from Target worked out really well. But this needs a little love, I think.
Yeah, we need something a little bit different.
If anyone wants to donate a table to TC and the Wolf,
that'd be great because right now we're straddling metal from an outdoor table that we have in the backyard that we have to carry in here every time.
I mean, straddling metal, that's just a Tuesday for you.
Straddling metal. Love it. God. Am I that metal anymore? I always have to wonder.
That's a good question.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I feel like your level of grumpiness is pretty metal.
That's just part
Like,
of
you're
it.
just like,
That's
fuck
just being
this, fuck that,
That's just
fuck
being
this,
old.
fuck that.
Oh, somebody on Instagram told me they were like, I'd really like to share your post, but there's too many F-bombs and I can't do it. And I was like, Jesus
Okay.
Christ, dude.
Right.
Really?
Well, at least they were honest. Dude, I had a couple, so I have family all over the place, Ohio, Kentucky, and then all the way through. And I have a couple really uptight, like Catholic aunts and stuff back like in Kentucky. And they used to just always be on my Facebook like, oh, Nicholas, this is so wonderful. Da, 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 da. And at some point I wrote like something with the F word. And they literally deleted me like, I can't be exposed to this level of profanity. I mean, it wasn't even anything that crazy. It was just like, man, I rode my effing motorcycle today or something, delete.
Wow.
I'm like, well, that's fine. I'm not like,
Christianity is inclusion.
Speaking of which, though, I have this other uncle who also lives in that area. And he's a good dude, I think, deep down. But dude, he's literally posting all day, every day, like about religious stuff, like how Jesus is going to come back. He's going to save the world. But then he's tying it all to political stuff. And that's just the worst combo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like he's basically saying that Trump is the savior of humanity and you got to get right with Trump, get right with Jesus. And if you're not, you're going to hell and you're a piece of shit. Like that's literally the kind of stuff he's saying.
Here's the fucking thing. Newsflash to everybody. The end is nigh has been said for like 200 years in this country now. With conservative Christians saying that that's going to happen. If it was going to happen, motherfuckers, it would have happened by now. It's not going to happen. We may end the world. Yes, that may happen. There may be a nuclear war or something like that. But if you really think that there's going to be a rapture or anything like that, it's been predicted time and time again. And guess what? No one's been right. No one's called
they'll always tag it to certain dates, right? They'll be like, 2012, it's going down. 2021,
and what went down in
down.
2012? Fucking nothing. And, and that's the thing. If anybody, like, the calendar is so outdated and was written so many millions of years ago, like, the timetable of everything is fucked up. And when people talk about, like, the Old Testament and the days that it took God to create the earth and stuff like that, those are God's days, not your days, bro. That could have been, 365 years. It could have been a million years. We don't know what days are to God. I mean, there's math that doesn't math. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it just really frustrates me.
This is something I was talking about with people on New Year's, right? Like, we give these things significance because people like to do that. They like to have meaning, like it's the last day of the year. But the fact is, it's really just where we chose to draw the line. You know what I mean? Like it's not. Well, it's related to the amount of time it takes to have a revolution, right?
But Chinese New Year is like in February. Do you know what I mean? So like,
well, I'm just trying to say it's somewhat arbitrary. You know?
It's completely arbitrary.
You could say that 2 years combined is the new year. Mm-hmm. You could do that.
This is just something we made up like a couple hundred years ago and decided to start following. And the same thing goes for like, why do we still have daylight savings time?
I was just thinking that, dude.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, this whole getting dark at like 4 or 5 o'clock, it always does a number on pretty much everybody. I don't know many people who are like, oh, it just doesn't faze me. It's just totally fine. It's kind of a motherfucker.
It is, and it's also like depressing.
Then you add the cold weather, and then you add this rain. We just had so much rain, dude.
Dude, I thought I was gonna like build an ark and float the fuck out of here right before Christmas. And it was raining both ways to LAX this year. And my God, it was awful. It was like an hour and a half each way. It took an hour and a half Uber out of there back to my car. I mean, it was dumping the entire time. And people don't understand. In LA, we have two types of weather. We have none and emergency. Okay. And the emergency, like when it rains, it's not just like it is in Kentucky where it rained for the afternoon. It kind of fucked up our picnic, but we figured it out. No, it's like 7 days of an atmospheric river where it just monsoon season in like Thailand. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. Sheets of rain. And it's nuts and it's disabling. Like you can't even go outside. There's so much rain. I mean, here it's that
might be a little bit exaggerated.
I mean, to me it is, dude. I'm not going.
I mean, I hate it. Don't get me wrong. I hate it. Part of the reason I moved to LA was for good weather, and 80% of the year is pretty great weather, which is what I love. I like to actually be able to sort of take for granted that when I wake up, it's going to be reasonably warm and reasonably sunny, and that allows me an unimpeded runway to go kick ass at whatever my goal for the day is.
Exactly.
You know?
But the problem is that LA is very outside based, if you haven't noticed. Like when you go to a bar sometimes, the biggest area where everyone's hanging out is like outside. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not really an indoor spaces kind of place because we build it around the weather being good. And then when it starts coming down like that, half the restaurant's closed.
I don't want to get into all the details, but the story I told you earlier about New Year's Eve with the mishaps that occurred, it was also raining cats and dogs. So imagine you're dealing with all that. Then you got to drive home from the W in Hollywood, and it's that crazy night where all these other people are drinking. You don't want to be nuked by
You know what's
drinker,
fucked up?
You know?
I checked the traffic at like 1:30 on New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day, actually, 1:30 a.m. on New Year's Day. And traffic, it was all green. It was just a big green spider web. I was actually surprised at how few people were out because normally 2 o'clock in the morning is fucked up.
I mean, the rain absolutely keeps people in, no doubt.
Oh, I stayed in. I was too drunk to go anywhere for sure. But all my Uber drivers that I typically deal with, they called me and they were looking for work that night because there was nobody really going out there. Like, Tom, do you need to go to Hollywood or anything? I'm like, no, dude, I'm good. I'm just hanging out the house tonight.
You're like, why don't you come over here and play cards and drink Jim Beam with me?
Pretty much. But I mean, that's what's wild is that like the weather here really, like when we have something, like I'm just thankful that all this rain came because there's not going to be a fire. Like,
well, so I looked it up, right? And we're clear of any kind of drought. There's only one yellow spot on the whole California map, and it's up north. Everything else is clear, no drought or partial drought or anything. And this might be enough to get us all the way through to the next winter, frankly.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is cool.
And it was like that in 2024 as well. 2025, it got real dry, and that's why we had all those fires, and that was insane. I was evacuated. I was evacuated for 3 weeks.
That was literally a year ago when that went down, and that was terrible. And I got evacuated. I could see the fire blazing through my upper second floor bedroom window, and then the smoke was really insane for like about a week after that. Like you couldn't even really go take a walk because, I mean, you could wear a mask, but I don't know how effective it is or whatever. That was crazy. And,
let me tell you my story about this. I don't even know if I even told you this, but so last year, my birthday's on January 8th, which is coming up really quickly here, right? And this was January 7th. It's about 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, fuck, I'm turning 50. God damn it. This sucks. Nobody's taking any calls from me. I can't get anybody to come over. I'm dealing with some severe depression. So I start drinking a lot. I'm going to sleep for the night. I'm passing out. And when I go to sleep, you can't wake me up. I only sleep like 4 or 5 hours at a time. And when I do, I'm just completely passed out, completely dead. You can't even move me if you want to. You can't wake me up if you want to. I'm in the space. I don't move all night. So I woke up in the morning in a frantic panic because it was dead silent for some reason. And I start looking at my phone and it's all blown up with all these fire alerts and texts from my neighbors going, Tom, we can see you in your room. The fire department's pounding on your door. You need to leave now. And this was all at like 3:45 in the morning. I passed out. The power went out at like 1 a.m. and I'm like, fuck it. Drank the rest of my bottle of whiskey, just went to sleep. I get back up, the power's on, and I've got epic text messages, epic warnings. And I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. So immediately I grab my drives and my computer. I unplug everything as quickly as possible, throw it all in a Target bag. I just get in my car and drive. And I went to my best friend's house, knocked on his door at 7:30 in the morning. He's like, what the fuck are you doing over here? I'm like, well, I bet I got evacuated apparently. There's no one on my street. I could see fire like red coming over the hill. I could see smoke everywhere. I forgot, left my bathroom window open, got smoke damage all in the bathroom. It was terrible. I mean, so it was a strange time, man. And I was kicked out of here. I came back and got some stuff. I talked to the police who were like running the evacuation down the street and let me come in for 20 minutes and grab some stuff. And then I immediately had to go back out and just had to find a place to stay for 3 weeks. And it was insane. I had artists standing here with me from Nashville, from Arizona. They were all here to work. We couldn't get shit done. We had to use Ron's space. We had to use a bunch of other studios.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was insane.
Shout out to Ron for coming through.
He did. Ron is a good friend of ours, and he did a great thing for me and let me use his studio for a few days. And we got him paid a little bit, so it was nice. So.
I mean, that was a crazy time, and it was very apocalyptic feeling, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the fact that like we have friends that are from Alhambra and stuff like that,
Altadena.
In Altadena. Oh yeah, sorry. When I say Alhambra, that was stupid. Altadena, where it completely, like, people don't understand. It's not just like a couple houses in the hills burned down.
Whole neighborhoods.
Whole neighborhoods, like the McDonald's, the bank is burned the fuck down. I mean, there's nothing left where this crazy fire came through.
I have a good friend, guitar player. His name is James. He goes by Jet. I think he's in his 60s, been playing guitar like his whole life. He was actually in this punk band called Costa Cause that used to open up for like Black Flag and some pretty heavy hitters back in the day. But anyway, he's lived in Altadena for like, I want to say 30 years-ish. Whole place completely taken down to the bolts. And pretty much all his music gear gone. He was able to salvage like one guitar and I think one amp. Thankfully, his daughter, started a GoFundMe. I chipped in, as did many, people in the community, and he's doing pretty well. I saw him not too long ago. He's back playing gigs, and very sweet guy. Shout out to Jet. He would be an interesting guy to have on here. He's got a lot of stories and history and stuff. But I just can't imagine. I mean, I had somebody steal a safe from one of my houses one time, and so they kind of broke in.
Is this when you lived off of Arlington by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I don't want to give any more specifics. I got stalkers out there.
I understand.
But dude, I mean, like, I had secured the place pretty well and whatever. The point is, some things were taken from me, and there was like, a door broken in and like stuff like this, right? Just having that small amount of stuff taken from me felt so intrusive, invasive, horrific. And that's small. That's very small. I'm not comparing it to this. To have your whole home wiped off the face of the earth, I can't even imagine, because that one little thing that happened to me rocked me hard. Like it was like, and it's also a little personal. Someone comes in your space, they stole some hard drives with like music that I can never get back. I didn't have more copies, a lot of little like trinkets and things. And it was in a safe. So I'm thinking, it's in a safe. I'm safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what'd they do? Pull the whole safe out?
The whole thing.
Oh, fuck.
And there's more details to that whole thing that I don't want to go into, but it was a rude awakening. I mean, I'm a very cautious, paranoid, security conscious person, and I thought I was good, and I wasn't good. So it was a good learning experience.
As am I these days.
Yes. But I'm just using this as a thing to say, what was taken from me is this big. This guy's whole home and life and everything was taken. I just can't imagine. My heart breaks for the folks there. I had another buddy who lived in the Palisades.
Mm-hmm. Where, just so you guys know, in the Palisades, so far this year, we've only rebuilt 10 homes.
Well, that's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But just to finish my point, this guy had one home that he lived in with his wife and kids, and another home that they were fortunate enough to have two homes. They were renting the second one out to some people. I'm pretty sure, I know one for sure was completely destroyed, and I think the other one was like half destroyed. And they have been trying to figure out the permitting system, all the red tape, to try to rebuild something. Not only that, they had to fight super hard with the insurance companies to get any money.
Yeah.
Because, of course, like, everyone's trying to get something, and then there's also fraudulent bastards.
Yeah, but here's
doing
the thing. Insurance itself is this, and this is what pisses me off. Sorry, I'm going to get, I guess, semi-political on this, but it's just an opinion about insurance companies, that they're basically betting that shit ain't going to happen for $300 to $1,000 a month or whatever, and you're betting shit is going to happen for $300 to $1,000 a month. And then when you go to claim it, when shit actually does happen, they come back at you with the minimum amount to cover some bullshit from 10 years ago.
Well, also they'll apply like the maximum requirements and stuff too,
exactly.
Because they don't want to pay out. They just don't want to.
Like when you drive past the insurance companies, the State Farm building and stuff like that you see like downtown and whatnot, that's not built off of them paying. That's built off of them collecting money for doing nothing, which happens all the time. And that's why I think a lot of the insurance stuff is really scammy, because prices, like they're not figuring in the permitting. Do you know how much permitting is to get windows in Glendale? It's $700
for the permit.
For the permit to get fucking with. That's before you buy a fucking window.
And how long does it take? Probably takes a long time.
It took about 3 months, I think, the last time I did it.
Yeah. So imagine you're trying to deal with that while your whole home is lost. Your kids, Like this guy's kids couldn't go to school because the school was destroyed. They're trying to find them a new school, trying to find a new place to live, trying to figure out how to get back to work so they can make money and keep their insurance, like their health insurance and stuff. Then there's also health issues that come into play.
Of course.
Right? Like it's literally like a quadruple whammy, just getting fucked.
Yeah.
You know?
And what is anybody doing about it? And that's what's terrible is that like we need to do better as people helping each other out because it's pretty fucked, man. Like the fires was
Maybe I need to start an insurance company.
This is like a good business. Start an AI insurance company. Combine the evils.
Oh man, that sounds brutal. I have a buddy named Tom. We went to school together back in the day. He did go to a pretty fancy, highbrow financial college institution. I think he got his master's in finance. Came right out, went right into a big time major skyscraper insurance company type of thing. Rose through the ranks, did pretty well, bailed out, created his own insurance company, built that up, sold it for a pretty good sum. And he's an interesting character. He's probably one of the best money minds that I personally know. And he's really good at sort of extracting maximum value from minimum effort, which is kind of what insurance companies do.
Pretty much, completely.
But he's got some interesting thoughts and ideas on this. And also, he always reminds me of this this quote. I think it might be from Warren Buffett or his sidekick guy whose name escapes me. But it's something like 99% of the millionaires, or some high percentage, insurance.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, because what better way to get rich than betting on shit ain't going to happen because 9/10 of the time shit doesn't happen. I mean, every time you drive, out of 100 times you drive in a car, how often do you get in an accident? Like 0, right?
It's all about probabilities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And now they have these amazing, computer programs and algorithms, and eventually probably AI, or probably already AI, that's going to help to predict the likelihood of these occurrences. And yeah, it's like the Las Vegas casinos, they're betting on you fucking up and them taking your money. And they do, 9 out of 10 times, right? And the insurance companies, as you said, they're betting on the catastrophe not happening.
Well, just look at it this way. Las Vegas is such a place that they want control. How many more slots are there than blackjack tables? Because blackjack, you can win. You actually have like 1/6 or 1/8 of a chance of being the winner.
They have far more control on a slot machine.
That's what I'm saying. A slot machine, they have far more control on the payouts. So the place is littered with slot machines, right? And not blackjack, roulette, or...
Well, also, the slot machine doesn't require a human to be there. You don't have to pay a human to monitor it, which is great too. If you have a blackjack table, you got to have a guy or a girl, and you got to pay
an experienced person that knows how to play.
Yeah. This reminds me of yet another thing. I had another buddy who used to build all the technology for the iPads, like on the cruise lines and stuff, and they had gambling games and stuff, and then they also had a lot of porn options on these like little tablets and stuff.
Jesus Christ! Gotta get my OnlyFans on those.
But he told me that part of the reason that they were doing these operations this way, like you can get the boat out into the middle of the water and the regulations that apply in California, they don't apply, right? So they could actually make the slots even harder for you to win because no one was like checking that they were like on the up and up and stuff. So they were literally rigging stuff to ensure you would like never win and you keep putting the money. And of course they design these programs to be dopamine inducing, to make you addicted as hell, to make you keep putting the money, right? But yeah, he had some interesting stories about, because like a gas pump, you're supposed to have skilled auditors check and make sure that the weights and measures are done properly, so that when you say I got a gallon of gas, you actually got a gallon and it was actually charged the right amount. This is true of any system that applies a commodity and a price, right? So same thing with the gambling. If you have no policies and no regulation and it's just like all bets are off, you can fuck the consumer all day long.
Which is why I wonder why people even play it, because I have no desire to play any of that, because it seems like throwing money in a toilet and hitting flush every time that
well, gambling is one of the worst addictions of all time.
That's crazy. I can't imagine getting that big of a high off of it, because
I mean, thank God I don't do that. I don't have that problem. Like I kind of feel like you, like I'm just wasting my money. I'd rather gamble in the stock market, which I do a little bit. But at least there, it's a little more predictable. You can actually use information to make choices. In the case of like a slot machine, you have zero control.
Well,
you're
and
just fucking with the bolt.
Typically today in markets, don't they have like an AI algorithm, which most of the analytics are done for like when you're investing? That's what I've heard.
You can definitely utilize AI technology to bet for you, and that could be done across any of these platforms. But there are studies already where like someone will give $100,000 to say ChatGPT and say, invest for me. Generally speaking, they do well. At least the stories I've read.
Yeah, I heard that there's algorithms being built in, and that they're using that to like scale, investments and things. It's really interesting how much shit has changed in like the last 3 years, dude. Like,
well, do you know what Moore's law is?
No.
So there was a computer scientist. Last name is Moore. I forget the first name, although I should know it.
J. Moore.
Nice. This was, I believe, in the 60s, 70s. This was when computing was really early, pretty much in its infancy. And he came up with this theorem, which basically said that computing power will double, I think, every 10 years, something like this. And he's basically just saying that it will increase I should go read the literature again, but he's predicting how fast technology will advance. Well, it's come true. What he predicted came true, and then some. But now with AI, it's an accelerant. It's like throwing gasoline on the fire.
It's exponential learning.
Yeah. And so the last 3 years being fast and aggressive in terms of development, spinning up all these data centers, all this stuff. I mean, it's nothing. It's going to be compounding. It's going to be exponentially growing in knowledge, in capacity, it's also going to be reducing in cost, right? So you could even half the cost while getting double the actual output from these systems.
Jesus Christ. Is anyone going to have a job like coming up? What? I mean,
a lot of experts are predicting that. Well, I think it's safe to say, first and foremost, some chunk of jobs will be eliminated. I can say that with total confidence.
But I mean, I'm seeing robots build stuff at GM. I'm seeing robots
I'm just taking it step by step, right?
That's what I'm saying. But like,
there is a chance in what some would perceive is a worst case scenario where like all jobs could be gone, which requires society to evolve in a very different way than it ever has done. Right?
Without greed.
Well, right.
And
so then think about this. Let's say if there are no jobs, and that's the main way people derive money for the things they need, food being probably the most critical thing, well, housing's pretty critical, right? But if you have no money, you cannot be a consumer. Therefore, you cannot consume the goods being produced by the companies that remain. This creates a huge fucking problem, right?
Yeah, apparently.
So at that point, you have to basically say, well, we still have to give people money, A, to exist, and B, to be consumers. Because if, let's say you're one of the big companies, let's say, I don't know, Apple, right? No one has income. You can't sell an iPhone, so your stock is going to plummet, right?
And they don't want that to happen either. So I don't know what the game plan is.
I think the prevailing theory I've heard, and I can't predict the future clearly, but the prevailing theory is that there will be some sort of universal basic income that will have to be provided. And the fact that the GDP will increase so much because of all the efficiency and production that AI enables, that say the United States will be more well endowed financially than ever before, thus giving them the ability to dole out the universal basic income. But at that point, here's where the next conundrum comes into play, Tom. How do you decide how much to give people? If you make it equal, on one hand, that's fair, but on the other hand, it's not fair.
No, it's not fair
right?
if you live in New York or Miami or LA or something.
Well,
like
so you probably should have a differential based on location. So that'd be probably the first delimiter or the first, dimension that you partition out. Then you could say, well, what if we look at this person's tax returns for the last 10 years, let's say. Let's say their average income for that person for the last 10 years was $500K. So maybe you give them a little more of a stipend based on their track record because you want to, in theory, let them maintain something close to their standard of living. But there again, you're just perpetuating inequality, and you're saying just because the person used to earn that much, they should still kind of earn that much.
Then what happens when everyone moves to Southern California because it's more of a stipend?
Well, so I think... Good point. The first differential is like kind of on location, but it's not like, I don't think you can just base it on where you, like there has to be a longevity factor, right? So if you just show up for 1 month, you say, give me the California money, that's not going to work. There's got to be a time factor, right? So if you've been in California, let's say 5 years, Maybe they discard the first year. The first year doesn't count or something. And they say for the other 4 years, what was your standard of living? What was your average income? And maybe they base something on that. But what you end up having is now everybody's on the take and it's unevenly distributed, but in theory, it's fair on some level, right? But that would mean rich people get to continue being rich without producing things.
Yeah, which is wild.
Well, I guess there's a caveat there, though, because you would say rich people would have assets like homes that they're renting out. Like, that's the thing. If someone owns a home that they're renting out, I don't see that being wiped out by AI because someone still needs to live in their home.
Anything that's a physical commodity, such as being an electrician or a plumber or, a garbage collector or something like that, those jobs will probably still exist because they'll need people.
Well, they'll be the last to be weaned out.
Yeah, they'll be the last to go.
To say, I think.
But let's talk about AI music. I mean, we're to the point now. You just had an experience that you were going to tell us about that was really fucked up the other day, right?
Well, so interesting thing. I'm working on a remix of one of the Oceans on Other Planets songs. It's called Die Alone. And a good friend of mine, his name is DJ Life, is remixing it for me. And for people who don't know, he was the original DJ in Incubus, which is pretty cool.
He gave us some sick weed, by the way.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he gave me some stuff and I passed it to Tom. I didn't need that. But anyway, he worked on the Science album, which is one of their, pretty well-known albums and stuff. And he's got some interesting stories. I would like to interview him too. But so we've been working on this remix. There's some really cool parts in there, beats and scratches and stuff he did. And I was talking to one of my other producer buddies, Sahaj, and saying, hey, you originally produced Die Alone. I want you to hear this remix. I want you to tell me what you think. He listens to it. He's like, hey, there's some cool parts here, but I feel like it could be more exciting. And I kind of tended to agree a little bit. So we're thinking, how can we punch this up? How can we get more, juice for the squeeze and stuff? And we were kicking around ideas. And then, he said, well, you probably could get something from one of these AI tools. And maybe you don't want to just use it as is, but maybe it'll give you some inspiration, or maybe you can get a chunk or whatever. And I was like, I kind of thought about it, but I'm a little on the fence about, do I want to do that or not or whatever. And he's like, well, look, I'll try it for you. Let's just see, So I tend to be pretty open-minded. Like, why not try stuff? Try stuff, see what sticks. And he was able to feed it my track. And in literally almost no time, like literally seconds, it was able to spit out a variation. And he's like, well, while I'm here, why not? Let's ask it for a few more. So like literally in the time, like I'm talking right, like, like in the time you could say your name,
40 seconds or whatever. Yeah.
It spit out like 4 versions, and sent them to me. I put them on. It was fucking crazy, dude. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it can do a lot, and it's doing it with no cost to create things. I mean,
it's not no cost, but it's infinitely reduced costs, right? Like, let's say you pay for one of these licenses for the software. That's one cost to you. And then the cost for those people to run that platform, there is a cost, but they're making up for it with
also
there's a subscription.
There's a separate cost, which I'm sure people haven't heard about yet, where if you don't pay for the pro end of like Suno or Audio or whatever, you actually can't resell it as your own material. They still own it, and the copyright holders still own it.
Well, that's in the terms?
I just saw that on, what's that chick who she's on Instagram, and she's like the top music attorney in America. And she went through and reviewed all the terms of use. And
this is very critically important.
So be sure if you're going to use any AI materials, you pay full price, full pop, because that's the only way you're protected. That's the only way you own it. If not, you could be on the hook. And also, if somebody does decide to copyright claim it, Suno and Audio and all those companies have no fault in that. It's all on you. If for some reason the AI fucks up, it's on you to go through and check out if you copied a Def Leppard song, if you copied an Eagles song. So,
well, also all those copyright checks are now super automated, and they're only going to get more stringent and more precise and more aggressive. Like that's been done for a while without generative AI, using like basic kind of comparisons and then machine learning and stuff. yeah, it's gonna get more extreme. But that's a good point, Tom. Buyer beware, right? Like always check the terms, whatever you're signing up for.
And I've even heard tales of this, that there's a big kind of expose with the last Doja Cat album that came out.
Oh shit!
Because somebody had paid a bunch of dudes on Fiverr in South America and then in like, Sri Lanka and stuff like that to come up with beats. And what they didn't realize is that in the AI encoding that was happening, there's a really high frequency spike that, things like Spotify and everything else look
like
for.
Humans can't hear it,
they
but
can't
the
hear
system
it,
can
but
detect.
the system can see it because if it shows on a graph, it's like peaking at like, 48K or something straight up, which identifies it as AI. And they almost had trouble putting out a record and they had to pay a bunch of money and redo a bunch of stuff at last minute so Doja Cat's last album could come out because there was so much AI usage that had gone on unbeknownst to the producers who were hiring people off of Fiverr.
Well, that's a great point
Better,
too, right?
like
Because
that,
I mean, it makes producing like sounds, beats, chunks of compositions, and in some cases whole compositions, it makes that pretty easy, effortless. And so there's like kind of this outsourcing, like a chain, like a top producer says to one of his henchmen or whatever, give me a beat. And he might outsource it to another guy. It might outsource it to another guy, which is kind of a thing that goes on in music anyways. But somewhere in that chain of people, they might just say, man, I can do this so easy. I'm just going to pop this out of Suno. And then they don't tell anybody. They pass it back up the chain. The person at the top's like, hey, dope beat. I'm just going to use it. Like they trust those people and they don't check. And then they get fucked.
You know where I see this going, though, especially for rock music and other forms of performative music where it involves a person actually playing something. I feel like rock bands in the next like 5-10 years, just because of all this bullshit, will go back to like largely performing the music live in a room together. And talent will be something that talent, heart, creativity,
authenticity
is something that will come back. And it will be not able to be replicated because things will largely get back to sounding like a better version of a Led Zeppelin album. You know what I mean?
Ooh, that would be nice.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where it's going though, because that's the only way we can combat it. Because so much shit has sounded like fake, quantized, hyper-tuned audio for a long time. That's what the AI is learning off of. They don't know how to make a flam like between John Bonham, John Paul Jones, and Jimmy Page. Like, because part of how that music sounds big was because not everything happened at the same time. We've had so long phase-aligned, perfect music that anything that's building off of and to sound like that is easier to replicate than a human condition of Jimmy Page rushing, John Paul Jones dragging.
Well, yeah, like imitating nuance is hard for humans. It's also hard for systems. Although to be fair, AI is getting so good at such a rapid rate that a lot of those little things that you think are hard to imitate now, I mean, in 5 years, they'll have it.
But at least for each band, it would be unique. Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So you could tell it to do it like Zeppelin, but that doesn't mean it's going to do it like you, me, and Zach St. John are. Do you see what I'm saying? Sure. So that's...
Well, so the potential upside, and I agree with you, is that authenticity goes up in value. It becomes a premium, right? Like, if you're a person who doesn't care much about music and you want to hear like a hip hop song, let's say, you might not see much difference between a Suno version and a real version. I mean, I'm not talking about like the classics, the hits. I'm just talking about like a generic hip hop song.
But anybody that wants to hear the latest version of Drake or something, it can make that for you.
No, I know. But where I'm going with this is you take some run-of-the-mill hip-hop song that's like on a TV show, but let's say it's authentic, right? And then you have like a Suno version that's very similar. If you're a person who doesn't really care about music, you might consider those like kind of equal. But for the people that actually are fans, and there's a lot of them, thank God, you probably will say, if I have the choice between these two and they're similar, I want to go with the one made by a human. I mean, I hope there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah, and really it comes down to this. It's about what people like, what they enjoy, and you can't fight with that. I mean, people like movies that are made by fake shit all the time. I mean, we saw it this year. There's a bunch of big budget movies that came out that had no computer generated graphics and things like that. They tanked. It cost $120 million to make, and they lost $100 million on it. I mean, you can't argue with people's taste, and taste is a lot of the time bad, you know what I mean? Or poor, and it will only work out a certain direction, which I always used to tell my artists all the time, like, whatever the worst thing you think on your record is, that's the thing people are going to like the most, because the cheesiest,
it does happen,
lamest thing that you put down there, they'll be like, oh, that's the cue. Damn it.
Wow.
We made it through this podcast fast, didn't we, Nicholas?
We burned it down, brother.
All right. Well, this has been TC and the Wolf. We'll get back into more shit next time. That's about all the time we have for today, though, okay?
Until next time, give your money to some real artists, people.
Yeah, not the AI overlords. God.
Good night.